So hey, Tokusatsu is a pretty family-friendly genre, right? Like, we all watched Power Rangers as a kid, and it's just a dumb kid's monster show, right? Today, in no particular order, we're going to be discussing the times when Tokusatsu got too much to bear. That's right, on the agenda today is horror in Tokusatsu. Now, before we start this, horror is a very subjective genre, and I'd love to have others share their experiences with the horrifying side of Tokusatsu, but for now, I'm just gonna settle at my own. So let's get right into it. So, let's just level real quick. Power Rangers Time Force is one of, if not the best adaptation of a Sentai, taking the already stellar source material and expanding upon its characters, themes, and premise, stretching the series' Time Ranger thin of its purchased source material, and using the suits and original characters to the betterment of the narrative. One of those characters is Vernon Wells' Rancic, the main villain of the story, replacing the original Don Del Nero and turning the suit into a kind of comic relief character, but instead focusing on mutants who have shreds of humanity left. However, the true horror of the segment comes from the quick and deadly Venomark. A little bit of context. When I was a kid, I had been given a Time Force VHS tape, and of course Power Rangers appealed to the younger me, and I popped it in, preparing for a lovely journey of oh my god. Oh no. Seriously, and the scary part only gets worse and worse the more you dig into what's actually happening here. Venomark is a mutant with supersonic speed and a fair bit of power, who upon biting a person can pass on a venomous virus. If that wasn't bad enough, the virus has no cure with the science of the past. Only the future has the serum, so if you got bit in the past, you were as good as dead anyway. As well as the speed at which you would be infected, it's just terrifying. And to a lesser extent, his suit is kind of terrifying when you're a kid because look at his mouth and the way it moves. But moving on. From the good old Sentai of this is an episode that follows Kiori and Raita, who are on a bus ride to a far out place in the country. There's a fairly widespread cast of characters riding along with them. The only catch is there's a Vyram hidden amongst the bus. And this only becomes apparent when, what happens, let me think on this for, oh yeah. People literally disappear and die whenever they go through a tunnel. I don't know what it is about these older shows, but their use of foam just makes things so much more gruesome. Remember in the Cobra Man episodes of Kamen Rider, when his mist would hit somebody, and they would just turn into a pile of foam? That's more gruesome than all the Saw movies combined. Because you can only show so much gore before it's entirely meaningless, but letting the imagination run wild about what's happening is so much more horrific than the blood and guts. Also, much harder to get away with showing children. So, I guess they had to place their bets there. But over the course of the episode, Kaori and Raita, as well as the audience, get to know the passengers, so when one of them poofs out of existence, it stings, and it hurts. It sucks. Especially given the dilemma that one of these passengers who we're just getting to know could be lying to you to lower your guard and destroy one of our precious Jetman heroes. All of which is even more horrifying when the bus driver, who's been subtly hinted at through camera motions to be the Vyram, becomes a victim themselves. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, the true Vyram is revealed to be the bus! The Vyram was all around them all along, and it was inescapable. Just watching them go stir crazy from fear. And that is some pretty grade A horrific stuff when it comes to the horror in a kid's show. A kid's show! You didn't think there'd be no kaijus, did you? Of course I had to talk about one of the lovable giant monsters. The only problem being which one to discuss, there's just so many. But I'm gonna go with the 1956 feature Rodan. The fear here comes from the feeling of utter helplessness and being put up against a monster that seems ancient, all the same foreign, to a planet like ours. The terrifying way it's shown to hide underground and the sonic blasts it can emit just obliterate anything we can throw at it. A true Lovecraftian horror, and not to mention the special effects actually hold up relatively well. Of course, the underground scenes seem a bit campy at times, but I've always loved that kind of camp. Makes it a little bit more grounded. I don't know. However, the scenes of the miners just, it just gets to me. Wait, that was it? We can all agree that Kamen Rider is great, right? We were all introduced to it relatively normally, right? First impressions, they're awfully important, you know? You can never do it again. So I pity the poor fuckers who looked for a fix of Kamen Rider or tried to get into it in the year 1992. And you know why? Because this is the year of the grounded Shin Kamen Rider. A more classic throwback to movies like Rodan, where it's more grounded and the story was not exclusively for children, but instead closer to a dark superhero or anti-hero movie. All you need to do is look no further than the first Henshin sequence. Primarily, even way back in 1971, those were very flashy. They were a flashy burst of energy to close out a tense struggle against a weakly monster, lined up like a domino to be brought down by our now well-equipped hero, Kamen Rider. Simple formula. However, this is where the grounding of Kamen Rider as a concept comes into play. Choosing to forego the flashy transformation sequence for a nightmarish evolution into a hideous beast. A sequence that goes on for an agonizingly long period of time. It's the first Henshin sequence in the movie, showing at length the struggle to keep the monster within before succumbing to the form itself. However, whenever I see people discuss Shin Kamen Rider, they usually talk about what I just talked about. Shin's transformation sequence, because it's very memorable and it's very terrifying. However, they do not talk about Tyrant Nemesis Krauser Boy, and it's a goddamn crime. It's so much worse. He literally grabs his face and rips his flesh off. It reveals a layer beneath, but it's simply horrifying. However, I think I'll save most of my thoughts on Shin Kamen Rider for another video, one that's actually going to come out. So, what have we learned? Well, when you boil it down, Tokusatsu is a pretty great genre, filled to the brim with colorful characters and fun stories that stick with you long after the run of their seasons. The genre is also multifaceted, and I hope to have shined a spotlight on the hidden horror of Tokusatsu, even if just briefly for you, and the effect fear can play within the world of our colorful heroes, making it even more memorable when it haunts both your dreams and your nightmares. Thanks again for watching. But wait, there's more! I think it's an appropriate time to discuss a recent event in the Tokusatsu community. That's right, let's get happy and hyped because today we're talking about Tokusatsu. No, this isn't sponsored, but I feel it's important to talk about. A new Pluto TV channel, its new one-stop shop for all things Tokusatsu. Currently, I've been tuning in to watch the astonishingly wonderful as well as the famous Kaku Ranger. And it also has my favorite Sentai, Time Ranger. And if you want to know all the Sentais being featured are currently limited to this list right here that I'm not going to say out loud. But just be rest assured that it does have Zoo Ranger, the series that would be adapted into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Dai Ranger, which holds the legendary White Ranger suit, as well as the Ninja Zord. But wait, there's more. Ultraman Leo and the adaptation of Shotaro Ishinomori's nearly mythical manga Kamen Rider are also there. Now, in all seriousness, this is a seriously big deal for the Tokusatsu community here in the West. We finally have a place where older and obscure Tokusatsu can finally be legally accessed. Emphasis on legally there. And the kicker is, it's entirely free! All you gotta do is just download the Pluto TV app and flip over to channel 681. Big thank you to everyone involved. Thank you everybody for watching. It's actually ending this time.